Welcome back to the channel. So I've been hiking and wild camping in the UK for about 6 years now, and there's a lot of things that I have learned over those 6 years, and subsequently that means that there's a lot of gear that I have ditched over those 6 years as well. So I thought I'd show you guys 5 of the things that I have ditched from my backpack. One of the first things that I ditched from my backpack was a water bladder. So why did I ditch a water bladder from my pack, and what do I use instead? So water bladders are really convenient, and they just slide inside of your backpack and you can take a drink on the go while you're hiking. However, there was a couple of things about carrying a water bladder that I didn't like. So the first thing that I didn't like about it was the fact that you can't see the water level inside your bladder because the bladder is inside of your backpack, so it makes keeping track of how much water you have quite difficult. Also, refilling a bladder on the go is quite difficult because it sits in that mesh pocket inside of your backpack behind all your gear. You generally have to take all of your gear out of your pack to get the bladder out and then refill it, and it was just a little bit too much of a faff on when you're on the trail. Also, just generally, I didn't like the taste of the water that was inside of the water bladder, and it didn't matter how much I washed the water bladder or how much I flushed it through, it still seemed to have a strange taste from the plastic and the tubing that the water bladder is made out of. And then when you get it home, you've got to clean it and you've got to store it so that it doesn't get mold on. And there are a few options to do this, but in my opinion, it was just too much maintenance when I got back home just to store water. So now what do I use instead? Well, I carry 2 of these 900ml plastic water bottles that you can get from the supermarket. And why do I carry these? Well, the first reason being is that I can very quickly see how much water I have got left throughout the day. They're also really cheap to buy, and they're quite durable, and if they do get damaged or lost, they're very cheap to replace as well. And it means I can save room on the inside of my pack because I can store these on the outside of my pack in the 2 mesh water bottle holders on the sides. So the second item that I ditched was this folding saw. And the reason that I ditched that was because when I first started out, when I was first getting into backpacking and wild camping, I would watch all of these YouTube videos and everybody carried a saw and they all cut logs and twigs and trees and stuff and made fires. But as it turns out, the place that I like to camp either don't have the resources to make fires or they don't allow you to have fires. And in the UK in general, this is the case, so I very quickly ditched that from my pack, which very quickly leads me on to item number 3, and it's this ferro rod. And because I wasn't starting fires and I wasn't cooking on fires, I bring a gas stove with me to cook on. This item just seemed completely unnecessary. Now I did carry it for a little while longer because I used to bring it as a backup in case the igniter on my gas stove wasn't working and my spare lighter wasn't working, and it was just a redundancy that I could definitely get rid of because I never ever used it, and I can't really think of a situation in the UK where I would need to use it. So item number 4 is this folding foam mat. Now I bought the mat because I wanted it to accompany on my coast to coast journey across the UK to beef up the insulation on my sleep system at the time. But the mat very quickly became the bane of my life and I was going to ditch it on the trail. So the mat's huge, it's really big and it's really bulky, and it was one of the things I had to store on the outside of my pack, and it got caught on everything. It was getting tangled in the bushes, it was getting caught on gates as I was trying to go through gates. Now don't get us wrong, they are a cheap way to add insulation to your sleep system, but after I got home from being on the coast to coast, it was one of the things that I very quickly ditched and realised actually I just need to upgrade my sleeping pad. So that is what I did instead. So item number 5 is toothpaste tubes. So I only ditched these after discovering toothpaste tablets. And these are great because they have a couple of advantages over carrying a tube of toothpaste. Number 1, they don't burst in your bag. Number 2, they don't freeze in the winter. And number 3, they're actually a lot lighter to carry and they don't require water either. So with the toothpaste tablets, you just carry as many as you need for your trip and you can simply crunch them in your mouth and brush them into your teeth. And there's no need to carry water with them either. So those are 5 things that I've ditched from my backpacking kit. Let me know what you've ditched in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Click that like button if you've liked this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here. I would really appreciate it to help grow the channel. And I'd also appreciate it if you watch one of these videos next.